Alright, this is a video in support of the Walking the Walk channel. It's pretty much intended to solicit your contributions to the next compilation video, or one of the compilation videos. So there'll probably be a series of videos like this asking for your participation. This one's intended to focus mostly on political reforms necessary to create a more sustainable world. It's sort of a prerequisite, I would say, to getting anything done is to change the politics, because the political system isn't going to represent people who care about anything, because that's not the agenda of the parties. They're already got a closed agenda, and we're not part of it. Most people aren't part of it in a way, because they are controlled by who they've sold out to, and those are usually minority interests. So even if they're always going to be a lesser of an evil. It's really not going to do any better than that, as George Bush demonstrates. But anyway, so there's two things I want to defend here, and that's instant runoff voting and my proposal that we abolish voting geographically and instead vote based on our ideology, that we have our ideology represented in representative bodies, not where we live, not our geography. Unless that's what our intention. We could vote geography if we choose, but I think most people think their ideas are more important than where they live. But anyway, over in the description section is a little speech I wrote, a little piece of crud, and what I'm encouraging you to do is provide videos attached to this one that maybe could be used, pieces of it, in the next video for the Walking the Walk channel. And so if you don't really have anything you want to contribute specifically, I figure most of that text over there will be part of the next video. And so if you want to just read it, if you're good at reading out loud, and then different people will clip it and put them together, reading different sections of it or whatever, however that'll work. We'll see what you provide. Maybe I'll offer $10 to whoever does the best job of reading it. Okay, so if you read it the best by, I don't know, my opinion and, I don't know, sick liberals and Dario's opinion, then you win $10. So there, I'll throw something to the cause. But of course, for the cause, you could donate the $10 back to the cause. But anyway, it's just a token, just a little tiny incentive. Just come on, do it. No big deal. And if you have any ideas on how government should be arranged, created, situated, organized, then yeah, post the videos. If anarchy's your thing, go ahead and post it. Can't guarantee a consensus of us going to like that idea, but we'll certainly give it a fair viewing if you can make a fair and rational argument defending it. I mean, it's all got to be part of the equation. We've all got to get through our disagreements, because there's going to be nothing if we don't have something, and we have to have something. We have to have something. There can be really no realistic expectation that we can do what needs to be done without organization. It just has to happen, and the key is to have something that's organized, that doesn't destroy freedom, or all the important freedoms anyway, that we retain all our individual important freedoms within some sort of rational framework, some rational containment, and that we don't take away anything that doesn't have to be taken away from the individual. I mean, that's the ideal, that's the mission. And if you've got a better way to do it than me or somebody else, you got a better idea, then bring it to the table, and let's hear it all, and let's argue about it, and let's try to find a consensus on what the best for humanity is. What's the best way to go? How's the best way to arrange all these human organisms so we don't step on each other's toes, so we don't destroy the environment, so we don't fuck ourselves out of existence. So anyway, I'll get to the two subjects. I mean, instant runoff voting is pretty simple. Basically what you do is you have a choice. Your ballot is ranked. You could choose a first, second, third choice, that kind of thing. So in elections like the current one that's going to be coming up here in the United States for president, if you have 3 candidates running, and 2 are on the left and 1 is on the right, that the 2 on the left won't sabotage each other by stealing votes from each other, and therefore allowing the 1 on the right to win, as George Bush did in his first term. It's a destructive system, this current system, because it doesn't allow a person to vote their will because they always have to think about the fact that they might be throwing their vote away if they vote for a third-party candidate. It is called a spoiler, and that's what it does. It spoils the democratic process. I mean, it's a simple fix. The only downsides are almost minuscule and irrelevant, and I don't think it could do any damage versus how much good it could do. An extension of that instant runoff voting is changing the way we elect legislative bodies, so no person could lose a congressional or legislative body election. So in your state legislatures and in the federal legislative bodies, your vote essentially would be guaranteed to go to a candidate you support. We would just eliminate the idea of districts where you win the district and you get to steal 30 or 40% of the vote. 30% in current elections, most congressmen, they've stolen the vote of 30 or 40% of their constituents. They've taken it out of their hands and just pilfered it, robbed them of it. And they've ended up calling their constituent is somebody who absolutely hates their guts. It doesn't make any sense at all how you call that representation. We must force representatives to earn every one of their votes. Then every vote must be an affirmative vote. Every vote must be a positive vote saying, yes, I want this person. And so the system would work basically the same way as instant runoff voting. You would allow anybody to run in any district. All elections would be as wide open. There could be 100 candidates. There could be 1,000 candidates. It would be on the voters, would have the burden of figuring out who they're going to vote for. Obviously, some people would be easy. They'd be very popular, so people who don't want to pay much attention wouldn't have to pay much attention. They just vote for the standard party candidate of their choice. The big name, and any excess votes that go to that person would end up going to their second or third choice. So all you have to do is be able to come up with a few choices, and your vote's going to end up in one of those places. It would all be done by a computer. It's that would decide you're from your 10th to your first choice, and based on whether the person's electable, it would be moved to the next choice, and if that's not electable, move to the next choice. It filters the system, and it allows you to be very specific and allows you to take real control over your vote. And as I stated, you can do it easy. You can just vote for a standard candidate if that's as far as you want to go, and that candidate can have the control to decide where your vote goes from there. You just vote for somebody you trust, and then that person will appropriately distribute any extra votes. There's a lot of ways it can be done, the mechanisms and everything else, but the bottom line is that the real thing you got to focus on is that there was no way you could lose a congressional election for representative. The person who ended up having your vote would be somebody you liked, somebody who had your values. They might not be your first choice, but they would be your second or third or fourth in all likelihood, and you win. That's the bottom line. Everybody wins. They have somebody in the legislative body who's representing their interests, their ideology, somebody who's going to speak for them. In the system now with party control, we're not getting represented. If you're a minority voice, you have no voice. It's friggin' simple, okay? You don't have a voice. Unless you're segregated in some geographic district, you will have no representation in any of the houses of power in this country. But the real power in government is legislative bodies. That's where the arguments take place. That's where the truth can humiliate the lies, and that's what really should be allowed to happen. I mean, if you watch the House of Representatives in the United States now, I mean, it is on C-SPAN, you'd be appalled. All this my friend crap as they compromise and sell us down the river. It's all bullshit. There's nobody in that body making an honest speech. They're all sellouts to a party, to an agenda that is bullshit. And we should have our voices in there, somebody with a little bit of passion for the real issues that matter to us as individuals. And then have the argument in the Congress and allow people to see, allow people to hear the ideas. Because that's the other part of this thing. The way the system is now, good ideas never even get heard. Okay, because they're shut out of the system right from the start.
It's a radical change, but in some ways it's as simple and obvious, and it just improves the system. We've got to step past the past. It's that simple. We've got a 300-year-old democracy. We've got to make it better. We've got to step past the crude environment, the limitations that were imposed by that crude and unsophisticated and technically inept environment. We've got to apply technology, apply our better judgment now, and create a better system. And it's not that hard to do. We've done it with everything else in our lives. We're not, we're not using horse and buggies. We're using automobiles, and we've got to do the same thing for our democracy. We've got to bring it into the future. We've got to make it better, make it stronger, make it more powerful. So anyway, enough rhetoric, probably over time. Yep. So I'll be talking a little bit fast at the end, for your pleasure.